Hello, my name's Lee Shuardson. I'm a divisional partner in Brown&Co in the residential services department, and I'm here with Fraser Hall, who is a partner in the firm and heads up our architecture and planning. Fraser, it's been quite a couple of years, hasn't it? Residential's certainly been busy. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've been speaking to lots of clients who've spent more times sort of in their houses, in their homes, and little things that hadn't bothered them have become sort of slightly bigger things. So lots of changes to people's houses, and that's obviously having an interesting effect on the residential market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's any secret that the residential market has been booming. It's been quite phenomenal across most of the countries, and certainly all of our offices have had some fantastic years with a massive surge in demand for certainly rural housing as people locate sort of post-COVID, specifically houses that, give you some sense of fresh air and location and community. Demand is far outstripping supply. And are you noticing something similar in the jobs that you're getting?
Yeah, I think that these sort of edge of settlement sites and barn conversions have always been popular, but you know never more has that been the case. And the rural housing projects we've seen are absolutely sought after, both from a developer's perspective and from from an individual client or sort of self builder. Those are the things that are absolutely on the front of everybody's sort of conversations when people are looking for sites. And so it sounds like we're seeing similar sort of patterns in this. And when you're when you're selling houses, who are your buyers? What sort of people are you talking to?
Absolutely, I would echo that. We've got the usual developers who we know locally who are absolutely championing for rural development sites. We're seeing local self builders who are just aspiring local people who want to move up in the world. But also, what's been really interesting is the sort of higher net worth buyers who are wanting something much more individual, that those sites of exception sort of planning and paragraph 79 were not always straightforward in our area, but now the demand for those has gone through the roof. And I noticed you've obviously been putting some of those through. How can Brown&Co help these people with our own clients supply this market more?
Well, it's a really good question because I think we act for buyers and also for landowners. I think the professional teams we've got within the business know their local markets inside and out. From a property perspective and also from a rural and a planning consultancy view as well. And so I think we're ideally placed to ensure that whether we're speaking to residential clients or we're speaking to landowners about property opportunities or planning or rural development, we know where to secure the most beneficial position, and that brings sort of added value and brings best value to those clients. We know most people have move house relatively infrequently, and most people have a development site relatively infrequently. And so it's
Yeah.
really important that where you get this opportunity, you find a consultant team, or you find a consultant to really make sure it's done right.
Yeah. So what do we say? I mean, the process is lengthy, isn't it? So their one chance to do this, they need to do it right. They should be planning well ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And you talk about planning with plenty of time. Planning is increasingly becoming more and more complicated, and so getting the right advice at the outset with a wider view on opportunities and risks, as well as a position on value, is really critical, because going back over old ground is expensive and much more time consuming again. So do things right and do things
Yeah.
right first time.
So if you had someone that maybe had a bit of land that is potentially interesting for something individual, for example, you'd urge them to get in touch. I'm assuming as soon as possible.
Yes, I think if you own land, especially where it's adjacent to existing settlements or it
Yeah.
forms an area of potential infill, I think the advice would be don't miss out on an opportunity. The planning market is always evolving, and so yeah, talking to us about what potential you might have and how best to make the most of that,
Mm.
it is the starting point, and that's where we start to
Yeah.
start to add value.
Yeah.
Lee, just talk about the residential sort of target market. What are people looking for in rural homes and rural new homes?
Well, this is it. We touched upon it briefly earlier on, the higher quality sense of space, and these architect designed homes are in superb demand. Um, there's no doubt to me that if there's opportunity, as you said, with people having these little parcels, that the interesting thing about Brown&Co is that we can offer that start to finish service and that have access to the developers as well as the high street buyers, as it were, the people that are coming from Rightmove and other areas. It just makes it a really interesting setup. So, well, and that's why I think I enjoy new homes and residential together so much with the firm, really.
Okay, well, I think probably then the takeaway for anybody listening is that um, opportunity doesn't stand still. The market's always moving and evolving, and keeping track of that can be a challenge. So, yeah, if there's an opportunity or if there's a possibility that you'd like to discuss, then please get in touch with our teams on the residential side and also the planning and the development elements of our business, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that and see where we can help.
Absolutely. Fraser, as always, been a pleasure talking to you. Speak to you later.
Likewise, Lee. All the best.